What if the biggest fight in Cobra Kai history wasn't between teenagers in a high school gym, but between the very legends who carried Miyagi's teachings and Cobra Kai's ruthless spirit? Imagine Daniel LaRusso, Johnny Lawrence, and Julie Pierce standing side by side, forced into a battle that could decide the true legacy of karate. The fan trailer for Season 7 doesn't just tease a comeback, it dares to ask a question no one thought possible. What happens when the past and future of Cobra Kai finally collide in one explosive story? The story begins with Daniel LaRusso, a man who has carried the teachings of Mr. Miyagi for his entire life. We see him standing in the dojo, looking at the faded photograph of his mentor, the man who taught him balance, discipline, and honor. Daniel has fought countless battles to keep Miyagi's legacy alive, but as Season 7 begins, he feels a weight heavier than ever before. It's not just about karate anymore, it's about preserving the heart of everything Mr. Miyagi stood for. In a world that seems to have forgotten what true honor means, Johnny Lawrence, on the other hand, is still the rebel we know him to be, but he's no longer the reckless man who once bullied Daniel at the All-Valley tournament. He's grown, he's learned, and he's finally found a purpose beyond proving himself. Johnny is training the next generation of fighters, not just to win battles, but to survive in a world where strength is often twisted into cruelty. Yet, even with all his growth, Johnny knows that part of him still burns for the fight. The old rivalry with Daniel may have settled into an uneasy partnership, but deep down, Johnny has never stopped questioning his place in this war between Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do, and then comes the return of Julie Pierce. For years, her story was left in silence, but now she steps back into the world that shaped her. Julie was once a lost soul, guided by Mr. Miyagi during one of the hardest times of her life. Unlike Daniel, she wasn't searching for victory, she was searching for peace. And now, after decades of absence, Julie returns, older, wiser, and carrying a fire in her heart that refuses to die. Her entrance isn't just a surprise, it's a shockwave. She represents a side of Miyagi's teaching that Daniel never fully knew, a side that values inner strength even above martial skill. Together, Daniel, Johnny, and Julie find themselves standing at a crossroads. The new season hints at a storm. Rising on the horizon, rumors of an enemy tied to Cobra Kai's darkest days, someone even more ruthless than Terry Silver. This threat doesn't just endanger their students. It threatens to erase everything Miyagi stood for. That's why Julie's return matters so much. She brings balance to Daniel's caution and Johnny's aggression. But balance doesn't mean peace, it means the three of them must prepare for a war unlike anything they've faced before. The fan trailer makes it clear. This is not just another season of training montages and high school drama. This is the legacy season. The one where past, present, and future come crashing together in a way that forces every character to question what side they're really on. Will Daniel be able to hold on to Miyagi's peaceful teachings in a world that demands violence? Will Johnny finally put his past behind him, or will his anger drag him back into the darkness? And will Julie Pierce's return bring unity or spark even more conflict? Every shot in this imagined trailer is designed to remind us of the journey. So far, while teasing the storm to come, Daniel walking into the dojo, his eyes narrowing as if he can feel Mr. Miyagi's presence. Johnny cracking his knuckles, ready for one more fight, even as doubt flashes across his face. Julie appearing in the shadows, her voice calm but firm, as she tells them both that the real battle isn't against Cobra Kai, it's against themselves. This is where the story of Cobra Kai turns from a continuation into a legacy. And just as the music swells, the trailer cuts to black with one haunting line. The fight isn't over. It never was. The fan trailer takes a darker turn as the tension begins to rise. The dojo, once filled with calm balance, is now a place of heated voices and restless energy. Daniel and Johnny are no longer on opposite sides, but their partnership feels fragile, as if it could crack at any moment. Daniel is focused on tradition, careful strategy, and carrying on Miyagi's honor, while Johnny still believes in hard punches, raw instincts, and the idea that sometimes you have to fight dirty to win. Their differences, which once balanced each other, now spark arguments that threaten to split their fragile alliance apart. We see Daniel pacing across the mats, telling Johnny that Miyagi-Do cannot survive if they lose sight of discipline. Johnny, fists clenched, fires back that discipline doesn't win fights, fire does. Their students watch nervously, caught in the middle, knowing that the smallest disagreement between their senseis could tear the team apart, and this is when Julie Pierce enters the picture more fully. Julie has returned not to relive her past, but to guide the present. She stands firm, calm, and sharp-eyed, reminding Daniel and Johnny that their war of words is meaningless compared to the storm approaching. But her presence doesn't settle things, it makes them worse. Julie has her own way of teaching, forged from her time with Mr. Miyagi, but shaped by her own struggles. She believes in patience, mindfulness, and trusting the spirit before the fist. Johnny scoffs at her approach, muttering that meditation doesn't win tournaments. Daniel, while respecting Julie, feels that her methods might confuse his students, and he's torn between supporting his old friend's teachings and maintaining his own authority. As the tension builds between the mentors, the trailer shifts, focus to the true danger rising outside their walls. A mysterious new figure steps into the light, someone connected to Cobra Kai's ruthless history. The voiceover is chilling. Cobra Kai's story didn't end with Terry Silver. It was only the beginning. The shadowy figure is never fully revealed, but glimpses of sharp stares, ruthless training, and brutal sparring sessions hint at a villain who is colder and more dangerous than anything we've seen before. This isn't just a sensei hungry for power, it's someone who wants revenge, someone who wants to break the spirit of Miyagi-Do once and for all. The students feel the pressure as well. Every training session grows harder, more intense. Rivalries begin to spark between them as they question which sensei to follow. Some look to Daniel for his calm wisdom, others to Johnny for his fiery drive, and still others are drawn to Julie's unique philosophy. What was once a united front now looks like three separate paths, and the fear of division spreads like wildfire. The trailer teases powerful imagery, Daniel standing alone in the dojo, looking at Miyagi's picture as if asking for guidance. Johnny training his students in the harsh streets, his style brutal and unforgiving. Julie teaching her group beneath a tree, her voice calm, her students practicing with perfect silence and control. Three visions of karate, all pulling in different directions, even as a larger enemy looms closer. As the music grows heavier, quick cuts show the shadowy villain building his own army of fighters. Their uniforms are darker, their movements sharp and merciless. Every punch feels like a promise of destruction. And over these images, Julie's voice breaks through, warning Daniel and Johnny, if we cannot fight as one, then we have already lost. The rising conflict isn't just about fists and tournaments, it's about trust, unity, and the fear that history might repeat itself. Daniel remembers the pain of fighting Cobra Kai when he was young. Johnny remembers the shame of losing his way and being used as a pawn. Julie remembers the lessons of Miyagi, lessons that taught her that strength without honor is nothing. But now, with Cobra Kai's spirit reborn in the form of this new threat, all of them must choose whether they will fight together or allow their differences to destroy them. The section ends with a powerful visual. Daniel, Johnny, and Julie standing in a triangle, each facing a different direction, each carrying their own style, their own doubts, and their own fire. And in the background, the shadow of the new villain looms larger, as if watching, waiting, ready to strike. The audience is left with one question echoing in their minds. If the heroes can't unite, how will they ever defeat the darkness that's coming? The fan trailer grows heavier, darker, and more emotional as the fractures between Daniel, Johnny, and Julie begin to ripple through their students. The dojo, once a symbol of unity, is now divided by whispers, glances, and unspoken doubts. The camera lingers on the students' faces filled with confusion, frustration, and fear as they quietly question which path they should follow. Is it Daniel's discipline, Johnny's raw power, or Julie's calm spirit? For the first time, the young fighters who looked up to their senseis begin to choose sides. The tension becomes undeniable during training sequences. Daniel demonstrates a technique rooted in balance and tradition, but a student interrupts as saying Johnny already taught them a faster way. Daniel pauses, anger flashing across his face. Across the room, Johnny grins smugly, but deep down, the moment stings. It reminds him of the same arrogance he once carried as a teenager in Cobra Kai. Meanwhile, Julie sits quietly observing the clash, her eyes filled with disappointment. She knows that the seeds of betrayal are being planted, not by their enemies, but by their own stubborn pride. The trailer intensifies with powerful imagery of the students separating into groups. Some practice kata with Daniel, their movements precise and disciplined. Others spar fiercely with Johnny, every punch laced with raw aggression. A smaller group follows Julie outside, learning to fight with silence, their breathing calm, their strikes sharp but controlled. 3 factions have formed, and each grows. Stronger on its own, but weaker as a whole, this division doesn't escape the notice of the mysterious new villain. In a chilling montage, he studies them from the shadows, his voice cutting through the music like a blade. A house divided cannot stand, and when it falls, I will be there to crush what remains. His words reveal a dangerous truth: the greatest enemy of Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang isn't his army, but their own inability to trust one another. The fan trailer teases emotional confrontations that shake the foundations of their alliance. Daniel accuses Johnny of corrupting the students with reckless methods. Johnny fires back that Daniel is living in the past, clinging to outdated traditions that won't survive the brutality of the new Cobra Kai. Julie, torn between them, warns that both are blind, that Miyagi's true lesson was not about style, but about harmony. But her words fall on deaf ears, drowned out by their pride. The emotional weight deepens when the trailer shows individual moments of doubt. Daniel sits in the dark, staring at Miyagi's bonsai tree, whispering, "What would you do, sensei?" Johnny trains alone in an empty gym, punching the bag until his knuckles bleed, his face twisted with frustration as he mutters, "I can't lose again." Julie kneels in meditation, her eyes closed, but a single tear slides down her cheek as she admits, "Even I don't know if they're ready." And just as hope begins to fade, betrayal strikes. A shocking twist reveals that one of the students has been secretly meeting with the new Cobra Kai villain, lured by promises of power and glory. The trailer shows the student bowing before the enemy sensei, the camera lingering on their determined face before cutting to black. The betrayal doesn't just hurt Daniel, Johnny, and Julie, it shatters the fragile trust between them. If even their own students are turning away, what hope do they have of standing united? The music swells, drums pounding like a heartbeat, as the trailer flashes rapid scenes of chaos. Students brawling with each other in the dojo. Daniel and Johnny shouting face to face, their voices drowned out by the roar of thunder. Julie stepping between them, her voice breaking as she yells, "Stop! You're doing exactly what they want." But by now, the damage is done. The section closes with a gut punch of a scene, the 3 senseis standing apart in the dojo, the once bright room cast in shadows. Their students, scattered and broken into factions, stare at them with uncertain eyes. And then the villain's voice returns one last time. "You cannot fight me, because you cannot even fight together." The screen cuts to black, leaving the audience breathless, with one burning question echoing in their minds: who will betray who when the ultimate fight begins? Asterisk, the fan trailer reaches its most explosive moment as the storm that's been brewing finally breaks. Everything, the alliances, the betrayals, the divisions, comes crashing together in one final build-up to the ultimate fight. The screen opens. On a wide shot of the tournament stage, brighter and larger than anything we've seen before. The air feels heavy, filled with the roar of the crowd, the pounding of drums, and the crackle of anticipation. This is not just another tournament. This is the battleground where legacies will be tested, and where Miyagi's spirit will either rise or fall forever. The trailer teases the sheer intensity of what's coming. Quick cuts show students preparing, each in their own way. One sharpens their focus in silence, their breathing steady as if meditating before war. Another tapes up their fists, veins bulging with adrenaline. Others spar furiously in the dojo, the sweat dripping from their brows as their senseis push them harder than ever. It's a raw, physical montage of training punches landing, boards breaking, bruises forming, and through it all, the voices of Daniel, Johnny, and Julie echo in overlapping fragments. Balance. Strike first. Find your calm. Three philosophies colliding in the minds of the fighters, shaping them into something new. At the heart of this final tease is not the students, it's the senseis. Daniel stands in his GI, his face lined with determination, his hands forming into fists as if he's carrying the weight of Miyagi-Do on his shoulders. Johnny, ever the fighter, ties his headband tight, his smirk hiding the storm of doubt behind his eyes. And Julie, calm and unwavering, bows her head before stepping forward, her presence commanding without a single word. For the first time, all three are side by side, not as rivals, not as enemies, but as reluctant allies facing a greater evil. The villain, cloaked in shadow, finally steps into the light. His face is revealed for the first time, cold, scarred, and merciless, every glance filled with years of bitterness. His army of Cobra Kai loyalists lines up behind him, their black uniforms sharp, their expressions hardened. His voice cuts through the silence. Miyagi's legacy ends tonight. What follows is a rapid-fire sequence of electrifying shots. Students charging at each other in slow motion, fists colliding with bone-rattling force, glass shattering as bodies are thrown through windows, a kick landing with thunder as the crowd gasps, Daniel catching a strike and countering with a perfect Miyagi-Do sweep, Johnny unleashing a brutal flying kick that sends his opponent crashing, Julie flowing like water, her strikes precise, her movements graceful yet deadly. Each shot is bigger, faster, and more intense, building to a crescendo of chaos and fire. But even as the battles rage, the trailer teases the emotional core beneath the violence. Daniel locking eyes with Johnny across the mat, a silent acknowledgement that they must stand together. Johnny reaching out to pull a fallen student to their feet, showing the compassion he once lacked. Julie shielding one of her students from a crushing blow, her face burning with fury as she strikes back harder than ever before. These moments remind us that this fight isn't just about karate, it's about family, redemption, and the unbreakable bond forged in the fire of struggle. The climax of the trailer comes in a breathtaking slow-motion shot. Daniel, Johnny, and Julie charging forward together, their movements synchronized for the first time. 3 styles, 3 paths, 1 strike. Their combined attack collides with the villain in a blinding flash of light, the screen trembling with the sheer force of it. The crowd erupts in silence as the image cuts to black dot, and then, as the music fades to a haunting whisper, the final words appear on screen. This is not just a fight for karate. It's a fight for legacy. The trailer ends with the logo slamming into place. Cobra Kai Season 7. Fan Trailer 2025. The screen holds on the final line, delivered in a chilling voiceover from the villain. The real war has only just begun.